Hey, y'all. Welcome to those of you who are joining. My name is Marissa Price. I am a Black woman social worker, healer, educator, trauma educator, online business educator, just taking what I've learned and sharing it with y'all so that we can heal collectively. So if you're joining for the first time, welcome. Please subscribe if you like my content. I always forget to say that, but please subscribe. So glad you're here. If you're rejoining, welcome back. Thank you for being here. But yeah, today we're going to talk about healing from trauma, which is a huge topic, and we're definitely not going to get into all of it. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here as I am. Aima, hello, welcome. Hi. So glad you're here. As I am healing from a traumatic experience of being in a toxic job, actually being in two this year, which I have just reflected on. So I exited one in March of this year. And then I entered another one in the same field. I thought I could escape the toxicity being in the same field. Turns out I couldn't. A lot of these issues that we see in so many of the fields that we work in are systemic. They're deeply rooted. So these are systems at play that kind of make these workplaces function in a toxic manner. So you can exit one toxic workplace and enter another one really quickly, really easily, unfortunately. And the trauma from those experiences is real and it stays with us. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. The impact of trauma. Trauma changes our brains. It changes literally how we function, how our bodies function. And so a lot of us are still operating in trauma responses because we're still in these situations that traumatized us so deeply, mentally, we're still there. Physically, we may have left, right? But those mental scars stay there. They stay there, and that's real. So if you're dealing with that and you're like, I'm out of this place, why am I still dealing with these issues? Why do I still feel like I'm there? Well, because your brain was changed by that experience. So that's real. Alicia, hey, so wonderful to see you. Yes, I'm going live with Alicia on Thursday. We're going to talk about lessons to our younger selves, which is, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Yes, but so glad to see you. Yeah, but trauma is real, right? Trauma changes our brain chemistry. It affects us going forward. And this is not something that we can ever be healed from because we're forever changed by it. So I think having that initial awareness is key. And even, yeah, I'm excited too. Yes, if y'all missed it, yes, I'm going live with Alicia on Thursday to talk about lessons to our younger selves. Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So yes, be sure to tune into that. Mara, hello. Yes. Hey, welcome. Yes. And I just did an interview with Mara last week. What is time? Yeah, that was last week. Yeah, and we talked about healing from narcissistic abuse, which is a huge topic. But yeah, I love that interview. Yeah. Bountiful billionaire. Hello. Yes. Yeah, so trauma. So I do have some notes, but I made a post about this a few days ago. But healing from traumatic experience is not easy. So I think that it's important to just start with that. It's not easy. A lot of these solutions that were being sold is like healed, like you're healed. I don't even think that's possible. Like I said, because your brain is changed. You are forever changed by these traumatic experiences. So it's just recognizing that you'll be different going forward, but healing is possible. Now, getting to a healed state, that would mean reversing. You have the ability to reverse what happened to you, which we don't, unfortunately. So just kind of moving forward with that recognition that, yeah, things will be different going forward, but healing is possible. And a lot of these wounds, like mental and emotionally, the wounds are still left open. Even though we physically leave a place, what happened to us stays with us. It stays with us, the memory of that. And a lot of us are still feeling like, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I still feel like I'm in that toxic environment, even though I'm around different people, the memory of that, it lingers. It lingers long after you leave. And I love that we're talking more about the impact of trauma on our lives because it's real. It affects every relationship and interaction going forward. It may not even require that response, but because we've been in that before, anything that even resembles it, we're back in that trauma response. And what impact does that have on our bodies, right? When we're constantly being hyper vigilant, hyper aware of things that we don't necessarily need to be. It's real. It's real. It's exhausting sometimes too. Yeah. 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 The conversation was beautiful. It was. It was. It was beautiful. Yes, if y'all missed that, my conversation with Mara last week on healing from narcissistic abuse. That was amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to talk about just like somatic work. So that is really tapping it back into your body. Because a lot of the times trauma will have us living in our heads all the time. Because again, our brains are changed. Our brains are forever changed by these experiences. So the more that we can tap into our body, right? Somatic healing. So this might look like mindfulness. So being aware of this is triggering me. This is activating me, which I think I talked about in the post that I made about healing from trauma. It's like being aware of when you're becoming activated is key. If you can tap into, okay, I'm starting to feel my blood pressure rise a little bit, my heartbeat is starting to beat a little faster. Maybe I need to take a break. Maybe I need to pause, slow down. I need to check in. Why is this triggering me? What does this remind me of? I think that's key because the more that we can connect it to what happened in the past, what is this reminding me of? Why am I responding like this when maybe I don't need to? But because it's kind of mirroring something that I experienced before, so I'm back in that trauma response. So tapping back into your body, again, mindfulness, body scans, right? How is this making me feel? Where am I feeling it? Where am I feeling it? So many of us are just disconnected from our bodies because we live in a society that purposely does that to us. It teaches us to live in our minds because, again, oppression, right? Oppression takes root in our minds. It really does. So the more that you can tap back into how is this making me feel? How is this making me feel? How is my body responding to this person, this situation, this environment? That can give you a lot of information. It can give you a lot of information on why you may be triggered. What memory is that bringing up for you? Again, the majority of our brain development, right, occurs before the age of 9. So if you had a traumatic childhood, a lot of us are still responding to childhood experiences when we're way into adulthood because we never had the opportunity to heal from that. There's not space to acknowledge a lot of these things in the society that we live in on purpose. It teaches us to keep going, just keep going, right? And especially when you get into adulthood, it's like the disconnection from childhood is real. That they try to sell us that we're no longer who we were for all of our lives. And all of a sudden, when we turn 18, it's just like we're a new person. No, because the majority of our brain development has already occurred. So we have our brains that we had in childhood, right? They might be more mature. We may have, the ability to process more complex thoughts, but those memories of what we experienced are still very real. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, for me, living in the States sustains my trauma. Yeah, just the American culture overall. That's real. That's real. Yeah. And it can't be overlooked, right? The roots of the United States, how we all got here are there. I'm out of the US at the moment. But how we got to the US. How did we get there? Our ancestors were forcibly shipped as if they were cargo across the Atlantic Ocean. in unspeakable conditions. I still don't have words for it. I've studied it. I've looked at the pictures, right? I've read the narratives. There's still not words for it. And so that informs everything that we experience going forward. We did not consent. Our ancestors did not consent to come to those lands that were also stolen. So that is the truth that underpins all of our experiences. That right there is trauma, like the generational trauma from that we still carry, right? Epigenetics is the study of trauma that lives within your DNA, basically, that's passed from generation to generation. And that's real. That's real. So we still carry those genetic memories of the forced journey across the Atlantic into the Caribbean, where people were seasoned, which is the term used for basically broken down psychologically in the Caribbean, and then forcibly shipped again to the land that we now know as the United States. So that truth is real. And it has to be incorporated when we talk about things like trauma, because we're still healing from that. We're still understanding the impact of that, of the forced journey, the Middle Passage across the Atlantic Ocean. We still carry that within our DNA. So that's real. That's real. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So another way to heal from trauma, I think, is, of course, therapy. Therapy has been, it's heartbreaking. It is. And if y'all have a chance to read the narratives of people who actually were on that journey, ooh, that is rough. That is rough. Having read those narratives in college, Black Studies was one of my majors in college, but yeah, that almost broke me. So if you do have the chance, please, care for yourself. Care for yourself if you do read those narratives. If you're looking to understand more about the passage, the Middle Passage, which is the journey from West Africa to the Caribbean and also to the United States. And again, people were seasoned in the Caribbean. So the level of psychological torture that went on in the Caribbean before people were forced to the US, what we now know as the US, the impact of that, the trauma of that still lingers. We still feel it. Yes. Yeah, they're heavy. Mm-hmm. There's no words. There's no words for it. There really isn't. There's not. And seeing just like the depictions, right, of the ships. That's just, it's heartbreaking. And you wonder how did our ancestors survive that? How? That's a miracle in and of itself that we're even here. Because that was an unsurvivable journey. Like, ooh, that's a lot. But yes, healing from trauma, therapy. I think therapy is pivotal, has been pivotal for me. Again, I talked about this with Mara, but yeah, finding the right therapist is key. And sometimes this will look like you might have to try multiple therapists. Because again, it's just like any other field, right? People are people. So it's just like if you have a teacher, you have one bad teacher and one amazing teacher. And they're both teachers, but they teach very differently. So it's just like therapy. Sometimes you have to meet with different therapists. You have to try out therapy with one person. If it doesn't feel right, if they start gaslighting you, which is real sometimes, that has happened to me, right? Pivot to another therapist, right? There are a lot of therapists out there. The Loveland Foundation is a resource for free therapy for Black women. I think it's the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation as well, offers free therapy. But yeah, therapy is key. Therapy is key for a lot of us. And so, yeah, a really effective way to begin healing from trauma, I think. And another thing I have, I'm just looking at my notes, externalizing the shame, which is something I really try to educate people about. Externalizing what happened to you, because a lot of us will internalize everything that has happened to us as something being wrong with us. Every encounter where someone said something, did something, traumatized us as it being something that we did. No, no. I don't think survivors need to take accountability. And that's something Alicia talks about, right? No, accountability is not for survivors. Accountability is for perpetrators. So you don't have to take accountability for you being what? A nice person? For you being too kind? You see, like it sets up a trap to kind of so people can evade accountability for what they did. It kind of blurs the lines between who's a survivor and who's a perpetrator. If both people are being told to take accountability, when really it's the person who did it who needs to take accountability. So that's key. Externalizing the shame, putting the blame back on the person who did it. It's theirs. It's not ours for surviving it, for encountering evil. No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. It is the perpetrator's blame. So externalizing the shame, externalizing the blame we may have internalized. And this is not easy. This is not easy. I want to make that very clear, right? Because we live in a society where people love to evade accountability. We live in a world that was colonized, that is still being colonized actively. And those larger systemic factors have to be taken into account, right? Because it informs how we interact with each other. If we're living on land that was forcibly taken, that was stolen, how does that inform how we interact with each other? If we are the descendants of people who did not consent to be on this land, to be in this country, who had their labor forcibly taken from them, how does that inform our interpersonal interactions? So yes, externalizing the shame, putting the blame on the person who did it again. The shame is not yours to carry. It's not yours to carry. And I think that's a key part in healing, realizing that you did nothing wrong. If no one has told you before, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. Okay. Grace and self-compassion, I think, are key in healing. Really just being as compassionate with yourself as possible. That you made the best choice that you could at the time. You made the best choice you could with the information that you had. Letting yourself off the hook. Because a lot of us will get into feedback loops in our brains. I wish I would have, right? With the information that we have now, only after experiencing that. We didn't have that information before. It is only through going through that experience that may have traumatized us that now we have the information. But before we didn't. So we're judging our past self who didn't have that information as our present self. So no, let yourself off the hook. You don't deserve to carry any of that blame. And it's really leaning into grace at every turn, right? And I think a key part too is replacing your inner voice. If it is self-critical, you have the power to replace it. You have the power to tell yourself new messages that are in the tone of grace and compassion. If no one else has told it to you, you can tell it to yourself. You can be your own inner voice as you begin to heal from what you experienced. Yeah, we were innocent. Hope and victory. It's so great to see you. Yes, we were innocent. We were innocent. We were the innocent parties. Yeah. We didn't know better. No, no. And someone took advantage of that, right? That is their blame. That is their blame. That's their blame. Yeah. Hey, Jay, yes. I feel this is where we have to hold ourselves accountable, admitting that we didn't know we were innocent. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Admitting that we didn't know. Yeah. That part. Yeah. I think that's key to admit that we didn't know, right? And I think it's just the term accountability that's kind of like it's been used very, very strangely, especially when we see things in the media popping up about abusers, abusers, and the people who have survived abuse being told to take accountability. It's like that term is being used very strangely. Um, so yeah, I that part. Yeah, we were innocent. We didn't know. We didn't know. We made the best decision with the information we had knew at the time. Yep, that's it. So let yourself off the hook. Let yourself off the hook. Yep. And again, replacing that inner voice. Jay talked about this during our conversation that we had on my channel. Replacing your inner voice that is it self-critical, right? Check in with yourself. Um, I think this is where like journaling and voice noting can be very helpful to even recognize the thoughts that you're having. Because before we get to awareness, we're in a stage where we're not even aware of what's happening internally. We're not even aware of the voice that may be judging us inside. Um, so if you can get to a place where you're able to journal, voice note, and really acknowledge and become aware of the thoughts that are happening inside that are not supporting you, that are not compassionate, so then you can substitute them. Once you have that awareness of this really doesn't, why am I telling myself this? And where did this come from, right? Because none of us come here being critical of ourselves. None of us come here being judgmental of ourselves, right? These are someone else's voices that we've internalized and now we tell it to ourselves. Yeah, accountability. Yeah, it is used very strangely. It is. And again, living in a society um, that has experienced colonization, enslavement, and just thinking about the lack of accountability there. So, starting there at the foundation, no one has been held accountable for colonization, and we see it ongoing today. No one has been held accountable for enslavement, which is also ongoing around the world today. Um, and how does that inform the messaging we receive around accountability? Because people like to evade it a lot. The people who do evil love to evade accountability. Yeah. Ah, yes. Yes. Glad you're here too. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 So somatic work, which is something I'm kind of researching and getting into, basically it's just reconnecting to your body through breath work, through things like becoming aware of your environment. So this can look like 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you smell, 2 things you taste. Forgot the other sense, but it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Bring your focus back to what you feel, physical things. A lot of the times when we're healing, when we've been traumatized, right? Again, we live in our minds because our brains are still processing what happened to us. The more that we can get back into our bodies, how do things feel? How do things feel? Processing trauma through somatic healing, right? I think that's key. That's key. Becoming reconnected with our bodies. And also seeking out education. I think the internet has been, there are some weird places on the internet, of course, But the availability of education on just things like attachment issues, right, which I posted about a week or so ago. Things like anxious attachment, anxious avoidant attachment, dismissive avoidant attachment, fearful avoidant attachment. These are all things that happen in childhood again. So many of the issues that we experience in adulthood are rooted in childhood because that's where the majority of our brain development occurs. But if you had a difficult relationship with a caregiver who wasn't there, and you weren't able to have that secure attachment, which is the goal for children, right? A secure attachment to a caregiver, to caregivers. You'll experience likely issues in adulthood with relationships, with interpersonal relationships. So that trauma that you experience in childhood is now carried throughout your entire life. So just being able to educate yourself about things that you may have experienced, having a title for it, having information for it, having words for it, language for it, right? So these things that we feel, when we're able to connect it to the words, the language, the terminology, now everything kind of opens up. You're like, oh, that's what I've been experiencing this whole time. And then with that comes ways to heal, right? Through therapy, through, going back and understanding the roots, those early relationships that weren't what they were supposed to be. And how is that impacting me now, today? Yeah. And Victor, yes, we need to spend more time around people that impact us positively, that understand and care for us. We need a safe space to heal and restore. Agreed. Agreed. Yes. That impact us positively. Yeah. Yeah. That's key. Being around a supportive community where you can share what you've been through, right? It's a safe space. No one's looking at you like, oh, you did not go through that. Like, we're not judging each other, right? So having a space that is safe to just share, is key. And sometimes that can be difficult to find. I feel like the internet has made it, at least for me, easier. Because not everyone that you're around physically all the time is on your wavelength. So they'll be looking at you like, what are you talking about? And they're just not there, right? And we have grace, understanding, compassion for them. They may not be there. But if you are able to find people who are, talking about what you're going through, I think that's key. Just having spaces like this, hopefully this is a safe space too, right? To share what you've been through. Yeah. Anxious attachment here, working through it. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's hard. It's difficult. None of these things are easy. All of these things take time. That's another tip, right? Give yourself time, understanding, compassion. These are deep wounds that we're healing from. Attachment issues go all the way back. And so we've lived all of this time dealing with this, not having words for it, not even understanding what was happening. And we're just getting to this point. So give yourself time to even process this new understanding and information, because it's a lot and it can be overwhelming. So give yourself space, right? Time. Yeah. Wonderful billionaire. Yeah. Find your people. Find your people. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. That is key. Yeah, Alicia. Yeah, the internet has helped me feel less alone for sure. Grateful for spaces like this. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And YouTube has just been amazing. Again, there are weird spaces on YouTube. But overall, just having the chance to learn from people, specifically Black women, learning from Black women, man, since 16 or younger, since YouTube has been around, YouTube has changed it's changed my life, right? having information, people going through what I'm going through. I learned how to do my hair on YouTube because it was a struggle. It was a struggle growing up, not knowing how to do my hair. But yeah, YouTube has just been amazing. And yeah, okay. This is a safe space. That is beautiful to hear. Yeah. And I hope it always feels like a safe space, right? I will block someone in a second who doesn't feel safe. So yeah, I hope this continues to be a safe space for Black women, centering Black women in our healing, in our unpacking our trauma, what we've been through, having space for observations, right? Because as we go through life, we have observations. And again, if you're not around people who are on your wavelength, people may not even get what you're talking about. And so you may just kind of be like, okay, suppress it, right? Just maybe I'm making this up. But being around other people who can affirm you, then know what you've observed, I've observed as well, right? And it's wrong. And I feel a way about it too. And so just having that space to openly share. Yeah, that's key. Yeah. Okay, y'all. Yes. And going to the topic of our discussion, my discussion with Alicia on Thursday, coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern, this Thursday, I'm going to talk about lessons to our younger selves. Reconnecting with who you were as a young person is key, because that's really who we are before all of the socialization occurs. It tells us who we should be, right? Who were you before the world told you who you should be? Who were you? That's you. So a lot of the times in healing spaces, it can be like you have to transform into a whole different person. I get that messaging a lot. You don't. You're really unlearning. You're really shedding all of these things that you didn't even ask to take on and getting back to who you already were. So that feels kind of easier to me, at least. You don't have to transform into this completely different person, this healed version. Does that even exist? I don't think so. It's just coming back to who you were, who you are. And that person is always inside you. So yeah. Okay. Yes, Jay. Thank you. Yes, this is a safe space. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Coming back to who you were. Yeah. That's all it is, peeling off the layers that aren't ours in the first place. That's it. That's it. Peeling the layers. Yep. Yep. Getting back to the core. Who were we? What did we like to do? Right? The simple things. The simple things. Yes. So I know for me, I have a picture of my younger self as my screensaver. I don't know if y'all can see this, but yeah. This is her. This is me. And if y'all do have like a picture or even a drawing, right, that you have of yourself as a younger person, just to constantly remind yourself of who you really are, of who you really are. Funky sun-loving onions. I love it, Jay. Yes, we're onions. Got to peel back the layers. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. And if y'all haven't had a chance to check out the thumbnail from my conversation with Alicia on Thursday, please do so because it is so adorable. I could not stop smiling. It's so cute. But yeah. 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 And that's key to healing, right? Getting back to who you were, exploring your younger self. What did you like to do? What things interested you? What things did you talk about? What things made you mad? Right? because we're told to kind of like suppress those things that make us mad over the course of our lives. And that creates illness within our bodies a lot because we don't have a space to express it. When we did try to express it, it's like someone was like, oh no, someone gaslighted us likely, right? That's not really a problem that you should be worried about. And especially there's a term, adult supremacy, that I recently came across. So it's kind of like all of these realizations and understandings that we have as children are downplayed by the adults in our lives often. Because that's another teaching of white supremacy, right? That children really don't matter. The voices of children don't matter. The concerns of children don't matter. And so they're kind of like pushed to the wayside when really they are the ones that can see so many things because they have not been socialized. They don't have these things that we have as adults. They don't have filters that they view things through. They're just like, yo, this is wrong. So yeah. Okay, yes, I have that too. Yeah. And Hope and Victory, do you have a picture of yourself? Because that is amazing. I love that. It's been so healing, right? Whenever I'm feeling like the impacts of trauma, I can literally go back and look at myself like, oh, okay. I knew who I was back then, so I can get back to that person. Definitely won't be the same, right? And there's grace and space to be held for that. But I can get back to the core, those parts of myself that I lost along the way. I can get them back. Oh, thank you. Yes. That thumbnail, y'all. It's cute. It's so cute. Yeah. Jay says, yes, I remember being into mystery books. Me too. And reading in general when I was a child. Reading was everything. Everything. Yes. I love to read. Loved it. And mystery books were my thing. What type of mystery books? We got to know. I was definitely on Nancy Drew, I think. I love Nancy Drew. Goosebumps. I love a good mystery book. Yes. Hope and Victory says yes. I talk to my younger self and tell her, I am here for you. I am here to love and protect you. That's beautiful. I am here for you. I am here to love and protect you. Wow. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. And it's just having that reassurance, right? That we can provide ourselves now. Especially if you, again, had difficult relationships with your caregivers, your parents, you can be that voice for yourself now as an adult. So that's key. Just having that reassurance. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. I don't remember his name, but there was a boy, could have been a man, that had a series I read. No worries. Yeah, but reading was everything. Still is, but it takes time to read. And as you get older, it's like you don't always have that time, but yeah. Diva Plus, my memory hasn't been affected. Grateful from my trauma. Any suggestions on how to help? Memory issues. This is something I experienced too. Tips, suggestions on how to help. I would say that therapy has been pivotal for me in that section. I know that EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, EMDR. I'll put that in the chat. But this is a form of therapy for survivors of severe trauma, it kind of, I went through it myself. It kind of brings you back to the traumatic memory. And there's a certain way that your eyes move. It's kind of weird, but your therapist walks you through it. And it was actually created for, I believe, people who had been in war before, to try to reprocess some of those traumatic memories. Because again, once you have those, your brain kind of sticks onto those, and you'll kind of get stuck in a feedback loop, and you won't be able to move on from that. So things like EMDR therapy are very powerful to help you reprocess those memories, so that you can kind of unlock that, because it gets very locked in. I know for me at least. So I hope that suggestion was helpful. But I'm going to write this down too. So thank you for asking this question. And again, that speaks to the severe impact that trauma has on our brains, on our brain development. Cannot be overstated. It changes the makeup of our brains. So yes, that's real. That's real. Teatime Beauty, hello. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. And yes, I'll be interviewing Teatime Beauty too. The last week of December, right? Last Thursday of December at 8. We're going to be talking about setting intentions for 2024. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Naima says, if I can get myself out of the 9-to-5 grind, I could have more time to put into my healing. Mm-hmm. It's been so challenging, but I'm making small strides as I'm able to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And the society is set up so that we don't have time for any of these things that we need to do for our healing. Because it's a luxury, right? To have time to reflect, to have time to think about things, to have time to even focus on healing. Because so many of us are in survival mode by design of this evil society that we live in. It's just like day to day. Do I have my basic needs met? So it doesn't leave time and space for us to really dedicate to these things that we need to heal. And it's all set up this way. So yes, yeah. And I wish I had a solution to that, right? Besides burning it all down. I do. But yeah, the fact that you're focused on healing and doing it while you're in the structure of a 9-to-5, which doesn't allow a lot of wiggle room, right? I think you should be commended for that. I think you should celebrate yourself for that, because that's not easy to dedicate time to healing. Yeah. In making small strides, you're still making strides, right? No matter what size they are. This is deep work. This is hard. This is like time consuming. This takes us back to things that are very painful. So I think you should be celebrated for that. Yeah. Let's talk about the mirror. I'm hoping to start EMDR by next week. I can't wait. Good, good. Yes, yes. Yes, EMDR is powerful. It's a powerful therapy. Yeah. Jay says, I drifted into fantasy for a while and picked it back up in college. Oh, fantasy. Okay, yes. When I thought I wanted to be an FBI profiler and study serial killers. I'm glad I'm over that. Okay, that sounds interesting, though. It does sound interesting. I couldn't do it. I'm too sensitive. I'm way too sensitive for that. But yes. Yeah. I never got into fantasy, really. Mystery was always my genre. History, biographies. I love biographies. Yeah. That is so interesting to hear. Thank you for sharing that. FBI profile. Cool. The Diva Plus says, yes, I definitely feel like it's a reoccurring thing in my life. Yeah. It comes back in other relationships. Yep. Which makes me freeze and hard to move forward. That's real. That's real. Yep. Because again, it's that trauma response, right? Freezing is a trauma response. So we have freeze, flight, fight, and fawn. Those are the four categories generally of trauma responses. So even having that awareness that you're freezing in relationships, that's key, because that awareness is the key to healing going forward, right? Of doing something different, of starting, therapy if that feels right for you, if seeking out education around the freeze response, around the trauma tied to that, so that you can move forward and that doesn't have to feel like such a burden. So that's key. And thank you for sharing that with us, because I can certainly relate to that. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Tea Time Beauty. Yes, I'm ready for our conversation. Let's say, yeah, December 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be chatting with Tea Time Beauty about setting intentions for 2024. So that should be wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for you too, Mara. Yes. Yes. Yep. Yeah. The same. My 9 to 5 draining, causing delay in my healing. It is a lot, right? These structures, these systems that we live in, they don't allow time for us to sit, first of all, rest, reflect on what has happened to us throughout our lives. And unfortunately, time is a luxury. Having the space, the clarity, the ability to breathe and sit with what happened to you, that's considered a luxury in this society. Mm. That's infuriating. That's infuriating. Hmm. Yeah. Just living in survival mode, day to day, right? Hour to hour, sometimes minute to minute, to meet our resource needs that are basic human needs. I could go down a hole. Yeah. It just really is infuriating that we're living like this on Earth, on this experience of Earth, that somehow we all made it to all of the things that we had to go through, right, to even be alive on Earth, and then to have to live in these raggedy systems that tell us that we don't have time to rest or breathe, and we have to ask people for permission to like take a vacation. Yeah, it makes me mad. Yeah. Tea Time Beauty says, I've been practicing self forgiveness and compassion. Yeah. Having grace for my journey and remembering I am enough. Sometimes my trauma memories resurface after I hear a powerful testimony from another. Me too. Me too. And that's real. That's real. Yeah, because we're interconnected, right? And so something someone else may say, it will resonate with us. It may trigger us, right? Even like the concept of vicarious trauma, which I wrote about on my website. We can be traumatized by seeing someone else be traumatized. We don't always have to experience it ourselves. We can see someone else hurt and it hurt us. And that's just how interconnected we are. But we're taught that we're just all individuals out here just floating as islands. That's how we are taught in Western society, that we're not connected. We're just islands out here, just something happens to one of us. Oh, it happened to them over there. I always found that so weird that someone could disconnect themselves from seeing someone else be harmed and that be normalized. That's not normal to me. That has never been normal to me. Yeah. Fire cleanses. Oh, wow. It is a healing cleanse. Oh, interesting. I would love to hear more about this. Fire cleanse. Sounds very interesting. It's like permission to speak up because someone else was able to make it through, and so can I. Yeah. Yeah. Someone else was able to make it through, and so can I. I think I had that in my notes too. Yeah, listening to other people who have made it to the other side, right? That even exists. But listening and learning from people who have been through it before. So it doesn't feel so isolating. And you can see people's journeys in real time. I think that's why YouTube has been so powerful for me. Seeing people chronicle their life journey over time, being like, oh my gosh, they did it. So I can do it too. Kind of gives you that confidence and self-assuredness that they can do it. Like you can do it if you see someone else do it. We learn from watching each other do things. Because again, we're interconnected in this journey of life. Yes. Hey, thank you, Marissa. Your videos are extremely helpful. Oh, including the support from the chat. I am so glad to hear that. Thank you. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm officially a YouTube partner. So yeah, I have I think it's like super chats and stuff like that available now. So yeah. I crossed the threshold. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. And I hope to continue to make healing videos because I think that's really my bag. Healing, trauma, educating about trauma, hoping to do a workshop in collaboration with Angela, who, if you were at Exodus Summit, I spoke with Angela on a panel, but we're planning on doing a workshop about childhood trauma next year. So excited about that. And yeah, hoping this continues to be a healing space. Yeah. I'm a freezer big time. Yeah. Yeah. And trauma responses are real. I had that as an idea for a separate video, but yeah. The 4 categories of trauma responses, again, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And fawn is one that's not often talked about, but something I've been reading more about as I've recognized that I do that a lot. Fawning. Kind of appealing to people who traumatize you. Trying to appeal to them to stay safe. I have done that. And that's real. Freezing. Yeah. Freezing. Flight. Flight is real for me. Like when things get too real, I'm like, okay, back up. Still working through that, right? And I want to make sure that I share that. I am not at any type of healed place. I am still navigating all of these things at the moment. Recognizing trauma responses, educating myself about the roots of childhood trauma and how this is affecting me as an adult. So that's real. That's real. You're welcome. Diva Plus, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And thank you for sharing that. Because as we share what we're going through, it heals other people. It makes us all feel less alone and less isolated. Yeah. Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Yes. Tea Time Beauty is also a social worker, y'all. Yes. There are some additional trauma responses also to fight, flight, and freeze, such as fright, flag, and faint. I didn't know that. Thank you. The more we observe ourselves, the more we can understand ourselves and what we need. Yeah. Yeah. Observing ourselves. Ooh, I love that. Yep. I have found that has been a healing strategy for me as well. If you can kind of zoom out and kind of look at yourself almost from like a bird's eye view of what you're doing, and recognizing, this behavior seems to be a pattern. When I'm in this situation, when I'm around this type of person, I tend to fall down this behavior route, right? And it's kind of analyzing, like just getting curious, like why might that be? Why might that be? So yes, observing ourselves. Ooh, yeah. Thank you. I miss the luxury of taking afternoon naps when my body needs to. Yeah. Yeah. Because we need to rest. We need to rest. This artificial work 8 hours a day, this is recent, right? Tea Time Beauty. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, the luxury, right? The fact that that's considered a luxury of taking a nap, being outside of the US, and seeing that taking naps is ingrained in cultures around the world. Although it's not viewed as a luxury, it's viewed as a necessity. Because I can only have a limited amount of productivity before I need to rest because I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. I'm not a machine. I'm a human being. So that's, I feel you. I feel you, because I experienced that too. Um, and I'm wishing you the ability to take naps, right? In the future, because you deserve that. And like you said, your body needs it. We know what our body needs a lot of the time. We know. But it's just the rigidness of these systems do not allow us to even meet those needs, to take the rest, and we have to take it ourselves. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, yes. Hello. Hello. I just watched your video the other day. I was like, yes, yes. I think it was your video about men and brought up a lot of memories from being a teenager, right? Feeling like, I think you mentioned, if someone was interested in you, that meant that you had to be interested in them. Ooh, that was real. So yes, please check out Fiat's channel. Yes. Yes, yes. Raggedy systems, raggedy. Just absolutely raggedy. That we didn't agree to. And here we are trying our best to survive and navigate them every single day. And they're traumatizing us. They're traumatizing us. We don't even have time to rest. In the surveillance, which is another thing I've been writing about, right? The constant surveillance of people watching us all the time, checking up on us, making sure we meet metrics as if we're children. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me not go down that. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, I got. Thank you. Thank you for all your comments, for all your support. Thank you. And thank you for this. Seriously. Yeah. I don't have Cash App. I don't. Uh, but let me think more about that. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee linked in the description of this video. So that kind of substitutes for a super chat, because I know YouTube takes a cut of super chat. But I am grateful for anything. Seriously, I'm thankful for y'all's support. First of all, I have to say that, as I have reached this channel milestone again of becoming a YouTube partner, which means that I am on the road to having my channel monetized. But yeah, I just want to thank y'all for your support in any way, the comments that you leave, the tips that you give me, because this is a learning community, right? We learn from each other and what we're going through. So I appreciate that. Yeah. A system that don't want us to live our best life? No, 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 not at all. Not at all. Thank you. Congrats on becoming a YouTube partner. That's my goal too. Yes, yes, yes. And I do want to, yeah, if you would not mind dropping your handle to your YouTube channel, I can link it in the chat so people can subscribe to your channel as well. Yes. I'm a fighter and a fawner depending on the person's situation. Yeah. Yeah. That's real. Me too. Those tend to be the buckets that I fall into as well. Yeah. So again, trauma responses, the flight trauma response, you're very quick to run away from a situation that feels uncomfortable, that kind of activates you. And fawning is really trying to appeal to the people who are traumatizing you. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm too excited with all the good points coming up in this conversation. Thank you. Yes, this has been everything. This has been everything. Yeah, I miss going live, just like a informal chat with you all. So I'm glad you're here. And thank you all for commenting, as always, sharing in the chat. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a necessity. Rest is a necessity. And we're taught that it's a luxury. What? Come on. Yeah. A human being, not a human doing. Yep. 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 We're meant to be. We don't have to do all the time, right? You can rest. Glam Mazzini had a really excellent live stream last week, I think. If y'all follow Glam Mazzini on YouTube, just about sitting down, giving yourself y'all, thank you. Giving yourself permission to sit down. That's it. Thank you. Truly. Y'all, my Grinch heart is kind of growing, just playing, but thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Seriously. Yes. Yes. Deeply appreciative. Yeah. You know what? Can I say thank you to everyone in the chat for showing up? Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank y'all for showing up. Thank you for educating us, for sharing with us, for sharing your experiences with us, because social media can be weird. Social media can be unsafe, triggering. So thank you for sharing and being here. Yes, Jay, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Growing through, taking compliments, receiving them. I receive it. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm ready to pack up and leave y'all. This damn country is draining. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The United States. Mm. It's something. It's something. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now having the privilege truly and the ability to leave your perspective on all of the things that you've experienced over the course of your life. Right? Alicia had a live yesterday talking about the trauma of just interacting with the police. And that brought up a lot of things for me, like having guns pulled on us, on me and my partner, right, while we were eating ice cream in a car. And you start to realize that all of these things that you've experienced are not normal. They have been normalized, but they're not normal. And it's these constant traumas each and every day that we experience in the form of like aggressive behavior interpersonally and things like jobs, right? Something I talk about a lot, something I experienced, the undercutting, the questioning of your worth, questioning of your value. What toll does this have on us? This is not small. The impact is not small because we're having this, and a lot of times we don't have a space to process this, release this, talk about this with other people who get it. So we just store it inside of our bodies, and that creates illness because we are being traumatized, right? I think it's like, I've heard it referred to death by 1,000 cuts because we're being cut every single day. And at the time, it may just be like, okay, that's something I just have to deal with, right? That remark that someone made that activated me. Again, it's important to recognize when something activates your body because that's information. And we're just told to keep pushing through. But what happens to that over time, that cumulative stress, the weathering on our bodies? This is traumatic. This is traumatic. So yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, I love that video. I love that video. Yes. Oh, not sure how to type your channel. Okay. If you have a handle, I can look it up here in a second and link it. Yeah, let me do that. I got you. I will link your channel. Yes, because it's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, my Grinch heart got reactivated. So thank you. Thank you. Truly, truly. And thank you for sharing my channel, Alicia. Seriously. In immense gratitude. Always. Yeah. Yeah. Tea Time Beauty says, me too. This makes my day that much more blessed, sharing space, lifting one another up and having honest conversation. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's like getting together with your friends, right? Just talking like the observations, the experiences that we have, because so many of them overlap. So many of our experiences mirror each other's because we're living in systems of oppression. That it's like copy and paste. They want us all to go through the same things. So as we're able to share what we've been through with each other, we realize we're not alone. And that awareness can lead to collective action, right? Because this is not sustainable. Jay says, yes, I've seen more women hate on each other covert and overtly. And I want to keep reminding myself that not all Black women hate each other. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yep. And social media can just be a place where that is amplified, right? Because again, who controls social media? Who creates algorithms and what do they push to us? We know that oppressors always have a strategy of divide and conquer that never goes anywhere. And we see it play out on social media so often. Yeah, so that's key. No, it's all love here. Yeah. Yeah. Emma says, I have police phobia. I get extreme anxiety when I see them, and this is not right. I move away from police cars quickly when I'm driving on the road. Yeah. Police phobia. Yeah. Me too. Me too. That's one of the reasons, right? That experience was traumatic again. And I still have that memory pop up every now and again. That was one of the reasons I had to get out of the US for a period because it's triggering. It's triggering and you don't feel safe, right? You don't feel safe because we know the origins of the police force in the US. Patrolling enslaved people. Mm, yeah, I'm sorry. And I can resonate with that too. Yeah. Yeah, tea time beauty. Yes, my dreams are impacted when I'm not able to process something traumatic from the past. I'm going to create a nightmare ritual for myself to protect my dream space. I love that. To protect your dream space. Dream space is sacred. Your dream space connects you to what's beyond, right? Beyond this earthly experience. Protecting your dream space. Yeah. 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 And a lot of the times our brains are still processing the trauma, trying to make sense of something that will never make sense because it's evil. But our brains are wired to try to make sense of things, right? And so if we're in that constant mode of trying to replay things, and this can be an involuntary process, right? What impact does that have on our ability to dream? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Protect your dream space. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm going to look up your channel right now. Y'all give me a second, please. Okay. Yes. Yes, this is Fia's channel. So please subscribe. Like I said, I watched an excellent video on understanding the impact of men in our lives. Just realizing all throughout my life at this age, I feel like there's more conversation on just the impacts that constantly vying for the attention of men has had on our lives. So there was an excellent video that Fia did on her channel on that. But yeah, it's real because it takes up a lot of brain space, right? Trying to contort ourselves and trying to beautify ourselves to be seen through someone else's gaze all the time. Thinking, do they approve of this? That takes so much extra brain power. And what if we just took that back for ourselves? Do I approve of this? So, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of us realizing how much that has taken, how much energy that has taken on purpose, right? In a patriarchal system, it's meant to take our energy. It's meant to zap us of our time that we could be doing other things. But yet we're taught to focus on what we look like, what we sound like. Are we palatable for men? Yeah. Yep. That is so real. And again, thank y'all as we're winding down here. Alicia, thank you. Thank you. I'll be going live with Alicia on Thursday at 8 Eastern. Talk about lessons to our younger selves. If you haven't seen the thumbnail, please check out the thumbnail. It's fire. I don't want to brag, but okay. Yes, that is Thursday at 8 p.m. So I'm excited about that. Thank you again. And Tea Time Beauty, thank you. Truly. Thank you for this. Truly appreciate it. And everyone who has commented, shared your experiences again, thank you. I hope to do more chats on just healing, right? Just low-key chats about sharing our experiences, what we're doing, the strategies we're utilizing, things like therapy, somatic healing through breath work, through mindfulness, body scans, anything to stay rooted in our bodies, because trauma lives up here a lot of the times. It also lives in our bodies. But a lot of us become trapped in just the thoughts that just run around our minds all the time, right? We get trapped in that cycle, which is things like EMDR therapy really helps take us out of that. So that is an option to look into, EMDR therapy. But yeah, being compassionate with yourself as you are healing, as you are becoming aware of things you have been traumatized by. Because even getting to that point of being aware of what has traumatized you, of how you are operating still in a trauma response, that takes time to even get there. And I don't think a lot of times we recognize how much work it took to even get there. That, wow, that did traumatize me. That thing that person said, I'm still carrying that with me. That caregiver that was supposed to be in my life in a certain capacity and they weren't, that's still impacting me in adulthood. Even getting to that awareness point is key. Because then you can start to explore your options to heal, to share your story if you feel comfortable doing so, right? But that initial awareness is key. It really is. I want to thank y'all so much again for being here. And yeah, thank you for spending the afternoon with me. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I hope these resources that were shared were helpful. Truth, having patience with our healing process. Have patience. We're healing from decades of trauma. And this is not going to be done overnight. And there's no rush. We're not in competition with someone who can heal the fastest. And unfortunately, I've seen that in some healing spaces. It feels like that. Who can get to the finish line fastest of what? We'll be constantly healing from what we've experienced throughout our entire lives. This is a lifelong process. So take your time. Give yourself grace and compassion. True. Yeah. Isn't it? Isn't it? Yes, the thumbnail for Thursday is the cutest. It really is. It really is. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here as always. I'm looking forward to Thursday for our chat. But yeah, y'all. Hope you have a wonderful, what day is it? Tuesday? And I will see you on Thursday, if you can make it at 8 p.m. Eastern, for my chat with Alicia about lessons to our younger selves. But until next time, y'all, hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.